welcome to this episode. Well, I almost dropped my phone, and I'll leave this in there. Maybe it will make you smile for a moment. I wanted to begin today's episode with just some of my observations in my own life. And there was mention last week about dealing with physical pain, dealing with health, and there's something about challenges and deepening that seem to go almost hand in hand. And I found that in my own journey this past week, where with the severe pain from headaches and sinuses, it really almost forces you to go deeper within the present moment. And you begin to notice there's more subtleties there as well. For instance, recently there was the awareness in the body of the effect of a thought. Just as if you were to drop a pebble in a lake, you could observe the ripples. And in a person who's perhaps not so aware, not so present, a whole rapid of thoughts would go through them every second, thinking, going from one thought to the other, and there'll be little known or understood about the energy created behind thinking. But in a position where the pain's so excruciating and you're aware of the subtleties of what a thought can do, where it makes the headache worse, or you can feel the effect of the thought, the heaviness of thought. And in that moment there was enough space to choose whether to think or not. And I found in my experience the majority of the thoughts that arose were just almost habitual thoughts, unnecessary thoughts. And because the pain was so sensitive, it made it a lot easier to see the activity of thinking and to catch yourself in that moment. And it can be quite an experience just to really fully observe the effect of the thought, how it affects the mind, how it affects the body as well. The thought reflects an emotion. And again, it's not done by force or by willpower to stop thoughts or to really dissect a thought or to observe. It's done, the more freer you are, the less expectations, like we talked about previously, when you're cupping water, you have to be open. You can't grasp in that way. So the more spaciousness you are, then the more these patterns become highlighted, become observed, and it's done through a relaxed openness versus a tense, concentrated focus. And it's a welcoming of this practice as well. There's no speeding up, there's no, okay, I must be present for the next, for the rest of the day or for hours ahead. There's no, you're not putting yourself into a shape in that way. Just taking one moment at a time, the one present moment. And it's accepting where you are in that moment. Your goal is not to be present in that respect, to be fully present, but the goal is just to accept, to allow the present moment as it is. And your awareness will sharpen but on its own. It will take care of itself. There's no need to almost reach, to have tension, to have effort in this way. You can allow that tool to sharpen. If you imagine the conditioning we've been through, it may take a little time for that to unravel, to undo. So it's not comparing your practice to another person's practice, and almost striving for that. The path is all the same. There's almost a gravitational pull to becoming present. So there's not really a worry that you're not, doing enough in that way, or you need to be doing more. It's just a simplicity of, are you present in this moment? Are you allowing this moment? And the power, or the spiritual muscles, those will develop on its own. There's no all your energy can just be in your alertness to detect when thoughts arise, when feelings arise. And alertness means not tense concentration, just the enjoyment of the present moment, and almost alert when there's a vibration happening there. Almost like when you're enjoying the silence, you're alert of when a noise appears, and in this case the noise is mental noise or thoughts, and then feelings. So in this sense, the challenge of physical pain was, yes, it was a challenge dealing with the effects of the pain, but it was also aiding the practice, helping me to go, to heighten my awareness, my alertness with thinking. Because in this instance there was consequences for it. There was more pain, more, physical pain. And it was immediate as well. There'll be a thought of something negative, and immediately the pain would increase. The headache would respond to that, and this was only observed through awareness. If I was not aware, then it would be a different story. Well, it will be a story, I guess. Another story in my head. Sometimes almost a wave of momentum comes. We have moments where the desire to be more present deepens, and we can almost call this grace, the grace that's touched us to want to be more peaceful, to go deeper in this way. And other times you may notice the desire, motivation to be present is less so, and it's just accepting that as well. back we go to a new earth, and we are talking about work, in this instance, work with and without ego. Most people have moments when they are free of ego. Those who are exceptionally good at what they do may be completely or largely free of ego while performing their work. They may know it, but their work has become a spiritual practice. Most of them are present while they do their work and fall back into relative unconsciousness in their private life. This means their state of presence is for the time being confined to one area of their life. I have met teachers, artists, nurses, doctors, scientists, social workers, waiters, hairdressers, business owners, and salespeople who perform their work admirably without any self-seeking, fully responding to whatever the moment requires of them. They are one with what they do, one with the now, one with the people or the task they serve. The influence such people have upon others goes far beyond the function they perform. They bring about a lessening of the ego in everyone who comes into contact with them. Even people with heavy egos sometimes begin to relax, let their guard down, and stop playing their roles when they interact with them. It comes as no surprise that those people who work without ego are extraordinarily successful at what they do. Anybody who is one with what he or she does is building the new earth. I have also met many others who may be technically good at what they do, but whose ego constantly sabotages their work. Only part of their attention is on the work they perform. The other part is on themselves. Their ego demands personal recognition and wastes energy in resentment if it doesn't get enough, and it's never enough. Is someone else getting more recognition than me? Or their main focus of attention is profit or power, and their work is no more than a means to that end. When work is no more than a means to an end, it cannot be of high quality. When obstacles or difficulties arise in their work, when things don't go according to expectation, when other people or circumstances are not helpful or cooperative, instead of immediately becoming one with the new situation and responding to the requirements of the present moment, they react against the situation and so separate themselves from it. There is a me that feels personally offended or resentful, and a huge amount of energy is burned up in useless protest or anger. Energy that could be used to solving the situation if it were not being misused by the ego. What is more, this anti-energy creates new obstacles, new opposition. Many people are truly their own worst enemy. People unknowingly sabotage their own work when they withhold help or information from others, or try to undermine them, lest they become more successful or get more credit than me. Cooperation is alien to the ego, except when there is a secondary motive. The ego doesn't know that the more you include others, the more smoothly things flow, and the more easily things come to you. When you give little or no help to others, or put obstacles in their path, the universe, in the form of people and circumstances, gives little or no help to you because you have cut yourself off from the whole. The ego's unconscious core feeling of not enough causes it to react to someone else's success as if that success had taken something away from me. It doesn't know that your resentment of another person's success curtails your own chances of success. In order to attract success, you need to welcome it wherever you see it. I'm going to read the following passage as well. It's a relatively short one, and it's called The Ego in Illness. An illness can either strengthen or weaken the ego. If you complain, feel self-pity, or resent being ill, your ego becomes stronger. It also becomes stronger if you make the illness part of your conceptual identity. I am a sufferer of such and such a disease. Ah, so now we know who you are. Some people, on the other hand, who in normal life have a big ego, suddenly become gentle and kind, and much nicer people when they are ill. They may gain insights they may never have had in their normal life. They may access their inner knowing and contentment, and speak words of wisdom. Then, when they get better, energy returns, and so does the ego. When you are ill, your energy level is quite low, and the intelligence of the organism may take over and use the remaining energy for the healing of the body, and so there is not enough left for the mind, that is to say, egoic thinking and emotion. The ego burns up considerable amounts of energy. In some cases, however, the ego retains the little energy that remains and uses it for its own purposes. Needless to say, those people who experience a strengthening of the ego in illness take much longer to recover. Some never do, and so the illness becomes chronic and a permanent part of their false sense of self. So I'm going to leave the reading at the end of that passage. Okay, well, thank you for joining me for this episode. I wish you well in this present moment, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Take care.